Well, hopefully everything is working properly. If it is, we'll start in about 34 seconds. I am going to double check a few things to make sure that all of the proper things are working. It looks like things are working properly. Sorry, I'm a little out of sorts because someone just showed up to ask about flowers. You can see the vehicle out there, but and they're talking right outside my window. But we'll start in 3 seconds. Well, hello and welcome to this live English lesson. I hope you are doing well. As I mentioned, I'm a little out of sorts because all of the sudden, some people showed up and Jen is talking to them right outside my window. Hearing someone talk just outside the window is a little distracting. So hopefully this goes really, really well. I don't know if you know this about me, but two things are distracting for me. We all have things in life that are distracting. For me, it's noise and really, really strong aromas or smells. When I go somewhere, if there's a crowd and everyone's wearing lots of perfume or cologne, I find it hard to think. I can't handle it. It's a little distracting for me. But hey, welcome to this English lesson where you get to ask questions. I'm pretty sure I did add the link to the description. Yes, it's there. I should do a quick audio check for a minute. It sounds like everything's working. I'm doing something a little different today too. I'm live streaming to YouTube and Facebook at the same time. So welcome to all of you who are watching over there on Facebook. I will just try to relax now. Anyways, here's how this works. If you are watching on YouTube, there is a link in the chat that you can use to ask a question about the English language, and I will answer it for you. I will try to explain all the ins and outs of the English language, a language that can be a little bit crazy. Please use the chat to talk to each other in English. Have some English conversations in the chat, whether you are watching on YouTube or on Facebook. Just enjoy your time with other English learners. I'm just going to check to make sure. Oh yes, it looks like everything is working properly. The questions are coming in, so that's very, very cool to see. Okay, let's see here. Let me go and find the first question from Talk to Strangers. Are video chatting websites good for learning spoken English? I think anytime you can engage in an English conversation, whether it's via text or an actual conversation with voice or face-to-face, I think it's helpful. But it is difficult to find people who are as motivated as you, or people who want to work as hard or are doing it for the same reasons. Some people go on video chatting websites to meet other people. Maybe they're looking for friends or for a romantic connection. So be aware that there's more going on than just people wanting to learn English. I still think it's better to hire a tutor using a website like Preply or italki or Cambly or all the many ones that are out there. I just think hiring someone is the best way to go. Hey, I just realized I didn't say hi to people. Hi to Pony Taylor, know that. Brent from Speak English with This Guy. Arena, Ario is here. Kania, let me scroll back and see here. William Yao has become a member. Thank you so much. Bear Vilson is here. Diamond, Zenjun, Sabuna, DJ, Rodolfo. So many people who are new, possibly, and people who are just joining for the first time. And if you're one of the 305 people watching on YouTube, don't forget to click this red subscribe button. And if you are one of the 54 people watching on Facebook, don't forget to follow my page for English lessons. By the way, most of the good English lessons are on YouTube, but there are some English lessons on Facebook. But find your way here for the good questions, or sorry, good videos. Here we go. From memories, the next question. Can you share some of your extraordinary childhood memories? So I would say I just have good memories of being outside on the farm. I didn't become the same kind of farmers as my parents, but there's a reason why Jen and I live on the farm. And the reason is because I love being outside on the farm and I like doing little farming things. Jen likes growing things a lot, so we're a good match. So I would say one of my favorite childhood memories is to simply be out on the farm doing things. Lots and lots of fun. Next question from Lifetime. Will you be on YouTube for your whole life? Yes, probably. I don't see myself quitting this anytime soon. I have made a commitment to doing English lessons on YouTube for at least 3 to 5 years at the level I'm currently doing. After that, when I'm 55 or older, I might slow down a bit. I might do a few less lessons. I might do 3 a month and then take a week off. But for the next 3 to 5 years, I will certainly keep working hard on these lessons and on this YouTube channel. I do really enjoy it, by the way. It's lots of fun. Let's see here. Renata. Hello, Bob. Hi, Renata. What do you call a room in a house where you keep old things? It's not shed in my case. I think you're going to say shed. Thanks a ton. Have a great day. So a shed is a small building outside of your house. It can be big as well, but most people in North America have a shed in their backyard if they own a house. And they keep things in there like their lawnmower, a garden hose, some garden tools. But if you have a room in your house, you might call it a spare room. It might have a bed for when guests come over. You might call it, a lot of people just keep things in their garage or in their basement. So that's another thing. But I don't think, like we have a drawer in our kitchen we call a junk drawer, but we don't have a room that we call a junk room. So I would just say spare room probably. India, what comes to your mind when you hear India? So I've had some Indian food. It can be a little too spicy for me, depending on what part of India it comes from. But I primarily think of food. We have a number of Indian restaurants here. Jen and I haven't gone to one yet. But at work, someone brought in Indian food recently, and it was really, really yummy. It was a little spicy, but it was really yummy. Also, I think a place I'd like to visit someday. Let me just do a little check here to make sure everything's working great. It looks like everything's working really well. Let's see here. I'm going to go back to my question form. And then Omegle says, do you know about Omegle? I don't use it. I know about it. It's another thing you can do online, but it's not something I would recommend for learning English. I think you're better off hiring an actual tutor. Next question from more Q&A. We need more of these Q&A live streams. Well, I'll see what I can do. I don't plan on increasing the number that I do, but I was thinking about replacing one Friday lesson every once in a while. And instead of doing a topic, do a Q&A. Or I've thought about possibly if I have a Friday where I don't have to work, I might do a lesson and then do a little Q&A an hour later or something like that. By the way, if you wonder why I haven't been showing the river cam, it's because I didn't want to show, I didn't want to put people on the camera who maybe didn't want to be. But you can see right now there is a vehicle backing out of the driveway. There were some people that were visiting briefly, talking to Jen. They are now on their way out. So now I can be a little more relaxed. And maybe we'll go to this question screen. By the way, you can see that it is a very bright April day. It's the first day of April. It looks nice outside, but it's actually quite chilly and quite cold out there. So it's definitely not as nice as it looks. That's what I would say. Okay, so let's see here. Let me get to yes, okay, good. Everything's good. Next question from Wealth. How is money important to your life? Well, money is important to me in the sense that I like to have enough money to pay all my bills. I like to have enough money to buy food for my wife and for my kids. I like to have enough money where if something breaks, I can afford to fix it. If my van breaks, I want to have enough money to fix it. But I don't need to have more money. As long as I can pay for my needs, I'm quite a happy person. I'm not someone who is always going out and buying the latest, greatest thing. So I would say I live within my means. In English, when you say you live within your means, it means you don't spend more than you need to. We always buy used vehicles. We pay all our bills on time. We are trying to save some money for retirement. I would like to retire at age 65. That is a ways away, though. I mean, that's like 14 years away for me. But yeah, I think if you asked a younger Bob, if you asked 25-year-old Bob, he would say that money is super important to him. But for me right now, it's important, but it's not the main thing I think about when I go to work or when I make YouTube videos. It's not my primary focus. Countries. How many countries have you visited? I have visited Canada because I live here. I've been to the United States. I saw Mexico. I was in San Diego once and I saw Mexico. I didn't cross the border. I have been to the airport in France and I have been to South Africa. That's where I have been in my life. That's the total of all of them. That's all the countries that I have visited. Okay, from Tina, the next question. By the way, it's also quite windy outside. If there were leaves on the trees, you would see the wind a bit more. You can see that when branches without leaves move, it means it's very, very windy outside. Tina, hello, Bob. Are these sentences correct? So here, I'm going to read them in the correct form. It's 2 miles away. That's what I would say. Or it's 2 miles from here. You might say the distance is 2 miles. Okay, the way you've written it is not how I would form that sentence. And then the second one, we had a 10-minute break, just singular. We had a 10-minute break. So yes, it's 2 miles away. It's 2 miles from here. The distance is 2 miles. And then the second one, we had a 10-minute break. When I was young at work, we had 15-minute breaks. It was really, really nice. From Arena, hello, teacher, or hi, Teacher Bob. Could you explain the word worthy, please? I understand the phrase something is worth it, but the adjective worthy is a bit tricky. Thank you. Well, when you do something, you want it to be worthy. And it kind of means that it's something that was nice of you to do. You know, if you say, I'm going to help people who don't have food by donating food, that's a worthy cause. It means it's an important cause. It means you're doing something kind of noble. Okay, you're doing something nice for someone. So worthy has like an element of kindness and honor to it as well when you do something that's worthy. ABC, there is enough food, or yes, the first one, there is enough food. There's definitely enough food. Is there enough food for everyone? There is enough food for everyone. There's enough food for everyone. That's how I would answer that one. Let me just check something here. I'm doing a lot of checking today because of the streaming to 2 platforms thing that I have going on. I just want to check and see. Oh yeah, there's 77 people watching on Facebook. Should I check if the audio is working there? I probably should. Yeah. Hey, wow, everything. Look at that. Everything's working great. That makes me very, very happy. And the fact that there aren't people talking right outside of my door anymore. That little distraction is gone as well. Next question. Let's see here. I got to keep moving because there's a lot of questions. Notice I said there's a lot of questions. The correct sentence would be, there are a lot of questions. But in English, we often use the contraction there's, or there is, and there are. So it's a little bit slang, I guess you would say. Ed Dorado, what is the difference? Little fix there. What is the difference between wake, awake, and wake up? When you wake up in the morning, it means you're sleeping and then your eyes open and then you are awake. So when you are sleeping, you are not awake. If you are sleeping and then you wake up, you are now awake. So notice sleeping is a long stretch of time. Wake up happens in an instant. I wake up and then you are then awake. Wake itself, I use probably more if I'm talking to someone. I might wake my kids early in the morning. I might say, make sure you're awake in the morning or I will wake you. For me, it's more of a verb I use when talking about other people. Let's see here. From Unsel. Hi, Unsel. Hi, dear teacher Bob. Can you explain the before long and long before phrases and provide an example? And is the use of the phrase caught red-handed common? So, okay, before long. Let's see. Let me think of a sentence with before long. If I stand outside before long, I get cold. So it means that without having to wait very long, I got cold. But long before is a little bit different. So long before I did YouTube, I did tech support at a school and I was a teacher. So I don't know if I've mentioned that before. I used to teach and do tech support. So long before I did YouTube, that's what I did. And then when I stopped doing tech support, I started making YouTube videos. Anyways, 2 examples for you. And red-handed, you do hear it. I don't think it's super common. I might say that you got caught with your hand in the cookie jar. That's another way of describing a similar situation. It means that someone caught you while you were doing something wrong or illegal. Next question from Sarah. How to use the new vocabulary learned in everyday life and how to practice speaking English. Thank you. So there's actually one answer for both of these, and that's to make sure you have a speaking partner who you speak to once a week. So when you learn new vocabulary, you intentionally use that vocabulary the next time you talk to your speaking partner. So answer to question 2, find a speaking partner, hire one if you need to. Question number one, if you learn new vocabulary, make sure you use it in your next conversation with your speaking partner. That will just help you, definitely help you remember that vocabulary. Just a good thing to do. Next question from Michaelo. Hello, dear Mr. Teacher Bob. Today I'd like to ask you, what is the difference between journey and trip? Thing and stuff. Thanks for your answer, or thanks for the answers, and be prosperous. So we usually use the word trip. Jen and I are going to go on a trip next Wednesday. We're not actually, it's just an example. Journey is something we use to talk about something that's longer and maybe more, I don't know, like he went on a long journey to visit different parts of Europe. To me, journey is more of a romantic thing or something you would say in a poem. Trip is the simple word, like we're going to go on a trip to Toronto. We would never say we're going to go on a journey, but I could say, oh, you're going to Europe for 6 months. That will be quite a journey. So it's a little bit of a more flowery way to describe a trip. Trip is just the most common. Yes, we definitely use that the most. Henry says, hi, Teacher Bob. Hi, Henry. To have an election locked up or someone has the job locked up, what does lock up mean here? Thanks a lot. So when you say it's a lock, and we do say locked up, but probably more common is to say it's a lock. He's running for mayor and it's a lock. It means that he's going to win. Like for some reason, you just know that that person is going to win. Maybe they've asked people in advance and 99 out of 100 people said they were going to vote for that person. You would say that it's a lock, which means that there's no chance of that person losing. When you lock something up, it has the same meaning. Let's see here. I was just going to read some stuff from the chat. Let's see here. Know that's talking to Dave. That's true. They change a lot. Oh, nice conversation going on there. Yes, Dave does talk if you chat with them. Sometimes it maybe gets a little overwhelming if everyone tries to, but he will talk. He is a person. He's not a bot. Although with chat GPT, maybe he could be a bot. I don't know. Let's see here. From Nancy from Costa Rica. We have, thanks for your lessons, teacher. How do you use the expression, you know, I know better than that, better than this? Oh, so here's how I use it. Because I'm a teacher, I often talk to students who are behaving badly. And I will often say, you should know better, or you know better than that. So if a student throws things in class and I say, let's talk in the hall, and I say, you know better than this, or you know better than that. You shouldn't be throwing things. So that's how I use it to describe a behavior where the student, they should know what the correct behavior is. You know, you learn in grade 1 not to throw stuff. By the time you're in grade 11, you should know better than that if you throw stuff. You shouldn't be doing it. Ario. Hola, Mr. Bob. How are you? Question. How's your French learning? What movies did you watch in France? And as an English learner, I watched Pokemon dubbed version. Very cool. Pokemon is fun to watch. I've watched a little bit. So I haven't been to France, but I did live in Quebec. And I'm going to admit something here. I did something illegal when I lived in Quebec, but it's many years later. Are you ready? I would go to the movie theater and I would buy a ticket for the first movie of the day. And then I would try to watch that movie and then sneak into the next movie without paying for it and watch that movie and then sneak into the next movie. Sometimes I could watch 3 movies in a day. So that's Bob the Canadian committing an illegal act. But anyways, I watched every movie. I watched American movies dubbed into French when I lived in Quebec. I watched movies from France. I can't remember all of them, but yes, one of the ways I perfected my French was by buying a ticket for the first movie of the day at noon or 1 o'clock, and then sneaking from theater to theater whenever a movie ended and just trying to watch the next one for free. Oh my. I'm a thief. I hope nobody's watching this from the movie industry, but they would have to find proof from way back in the 90s of me living in Quebec. So here we go. Let's see here. Hello, Mr. Bob. You recommend Duolingo site. I find it very useful and funny, but you don't use it yourself to improve your French. You got only 250 points there. Why? You're looking at the wrong account, first of all. So I have 2 Duolingo accounts. The one Duolingo account I used for work. I have my work login ID, and I finished the entire French tree a number of years ago now. And then it's changed a few times since then. So I don't regularly use it right now. But I do recommend Duolingo, not as the only solution, but as one thing you probably should do if you're learning English. Some people want to say Duolingo isn't good or Duolingo is the best, but I always think, well, in the mix of everything you're doing, you should do some reading and watch some TV and some Duolingo and maybe some Babbel or one of the other apps that you can get. There's a few of them. You should have a speaking partner. So anyways, yes, shameful. I only have 250 points. But if you're looking at my actual account, I don't think I've used it for like half a year. I've been meaning to redo the entire French tree at some point. Maybe I'll try to do that in the summer. I've said that before in a live stream and I still haven't done it. So Ethan, let me have a sip of water here. Hi, amazing Bob. It's my first time being here and my question is how to speak English as fluently as a native speaker does. It does just come down to practice and immersion and time. So there's a number of components there. You need to spend time. If you're spending an hour a day for a number of months, you will get closer to fluency. If you are practicing the things you need to practice to get fluent, you will get closer to fluency. It's similar to, the more you shoot a basketball at a basketball net, you will eventually get better at getting it in the net. That's how our brains and our bodies work. So more practice is good. Brent from Speak English with This Guy says, shame on you. He's talking about my movie theater things. And then Mode says, glad you weren't caught red-handed, Mr. Bob. Great use of the phrase, for sure. Yes, I was never, well, no, I don't think I was ever caught. I didn't do it a lot. Maybe 10 times. I'm not sure. Let's see. Brent says, I've heard movie theaters really make their money through concessions. Maybe they didn't care if you snuck in, possibly. By the way, concessions are things like popcorn or chocolate bars or soda or pop, we call it in Canada. That's what they do. Let's see. Next question here from Yarrow. Hi, Yarrow. Morning, the wisest teacher, Bob. Great. I'm assuming you're Yaroslav, but I could be wrong. But hi, Yarrow. Great weekend, isn't it? Do you use phrases at length, in an instant, above all else? Thanks for being on this planet. You're welcome. I'm happy to be on this planet. Yes. Yeah. Sometimes I talk at length about something. That means I talk about it for a long time. Sometimes something happens in an instant, like at one, and I think I used the example in another video of a deer ran out in front of me and I saw, like it happens in an instant. I think the lesson was on split second though, but in an instant. And then above all else. Now I will say this, at length and above all else, I might use more as a teacher. It's a more, I don't know what I'm saying. Like it's not common English necessarily. You might say something like, he talked about it a lot. And then as a teacher, I might say, he talked at length. As a normal English speaker, I might say, this is more important than everything else. But someone else might say, this is above all else in importance. So we do use them, but I think that there are more common ways to say that. Yeah, Mode's explaining to Ario my crime of 1990. I can't remember what year it was. 1990, in the 90s, somewhere in the 90s. Call the Quebec authorities and tell them that I snuck into the movie theater. Let me see here. Next question. Wait, I do have to check something. It says here. Technology. Do you think if I lived in the city, I would have less problems with connection? Possibly. I think I've explained this before. Let's go to the big camera. That's not the big camera. If you see my red van, and then past the red van, there are two large concrete structures. They're called silos. At the top of the short silo, you can't see it, but there's a little square white antenna. And that's where this live stream is coming from. It goes from my house to the barn, up the silo, and out that antenna. So I think that's why sometimes we have slight problems, but not this morning. So far, everything seems to be working great. Did I answer this question? Yes, I did. From channel. What do you like the most about your channel? I don't know. That's hard to say. I just like having a YouTube channel. It's kind of fun. Sometimes people ask me about it and I like to talk about it a little bit. I don't brag about it. I don't go and tell everyone I know that I have a YouTube channel. But it is a very fun thing to do. As I've described before, I like making videos. I like doing live streams. I like teaching. You like learning English. You like watching my lessons. So it's, in English, again, we would say it's a win-win. It's a win-win situation. I'm doing something that makes me happy and makes, I think, most of you happy. Let's see here. Curtis says, Uncle Bob, hi, yesterday you used the word compliment. I'm going to add a D. You used the word compliment. I've been on your channel since 2020. Can you compliment me in your way? Well, thank you so much for being here. If you've been here for since 2020, it shows that you have a lot of dedication. And there's a word called stick-to-itiveness. It means that you do something and you stick to it. You keep doing it. So I admire you, Curtis, for your stick-to-itiveness. By the way, I do explain that word in my next lesson on Tuesday as well. Hey, I think we need to go to members only chat for a bit. So if you're watching on YouTube and you are a YouTube member, you will be able to ask questions directly in the chat in just a moment. As soon as I get that set up, it's going to take me just a little bit of time. I think I can do it though. And let me see here. Everything seems to be working great still. That's awesome. I don't know why I said it in a little bit of a funny way there. Everything seems to be working great still. Focus is still working great. Awesome. Let's see here. I will put questions on the screen, and as I see questions pop up in the chat from members, I will answer them as well. Eduardo, can you talk a little about den, that place in a Canadian house? So Canadians and Americans have different types of rooms. We have something called the kitchen, the living room, the bathroom. You might have something called a family room. You have bedrooms, but some houses have what I think used to be called a den. Some people still call it a den, but it's a room where you probably have some couches. It's probably carpeted, and it's probably very, very cozy. We have a living room. I'm sitting in it. It's now my office/studio. And we have a back room, or what we call a family room, at the back of our house. I used to do my live streams from our family room. We could call it a den as well, because it has 2 couches and it has a lazy boy chair and it has a TV, and that's where we sometimes watch basketball games. But yes, den, family room. Yeah, that's how I would describe. I'm not sure a lot of people use the word den. I'm curious what Brent from Speak American English with This Guy says, or Speak English with This Guy. Harry 300 is here. Very cool. That bush got peed on. So I'm going to add the word on. The bush got peed on. Oh, sorry. Let me read this correctly. The bush that got peed on by Bob's dog is still alive. Haha. Walter, I forget his name. Yeah, that was actually, I think Oscar ran out and peed on that bush. If you look to the left of the bush, there are some daffodils starting to grow there. They're just starting to come up out of the ground. So we are seeing a little bit of spring here. Very nice. Let me see. John Wedge. Hello, Bob. Good to see you again. Lately, I have a lot of things at my work, little fix, but today I managed to be here at work and watch this live stream. Well, thanks for being here, John. Good to see you. You're doing double duty, we would say, when you do 2 things at once in English. Sometimes we say we're doing double duty. You're watching the live stream and working. Alina says, hello, Mr. Wisest. How to make the world the best? Well, I think kindness. I think if you watch this lesson from yesterday, this was about all of the nice things you can do for someone. And it will come out in a shorter version tomorrow, but do take some time to watch that. I think you will enjoy it. That's how you make the world a better place. You do nice things for other people. Let's see. Harry's 300's talking to Yaroslav and Lolly. Let's see. Freddie Wolf. Sorry, I'm not ignoring you. I'm just trying to avoid the conversations that you're having with each other. Freddie Wolf says, Bonjour, Bob. Tu ne vas pas croire. You won't believe it. Tu ne vas pas le croire. You won't believe it. We all wanted to surprise you today. You should check your front door because we've met and gathered in front of your house. We brought you some beautiful fish. Ah, yes, the Poisson Day. So it is April Fool's Day here in Canada. It's a day where people do tricks on each other. Jen and I did not do any tricks on each other today. But I'm glad it's not a school day. When you have April Fool's Day on a school day, the kids do they play a lot of tricks on the teachers. So I'm okay to have it on a Saturday for once. Let's see here. Brent says, from Speak English with This Guy, I thought the same thing. Den might have been used when you and I were kids. Not anymore. Dens had shag carpets, I think. Yeah, I think you're right. Like, if I went to someone's house and they said, oh, let's sit in the den, I wouldn't think twice. I know what a den is, and some people might call it that. But I think the word den was replaced with family room, or like we call it our back room, just because it's at the back of our house. I think den was more like a 70s term. John Wedge, double duty. Thanks for the tip, Bob. No problem. Lots of corduroy was worn in dens. Yes, definitely. The corduroy pants were in full effect when people had dens. Amran, why do so many languages contain words similar to English? So I'm going to add an S there, words. I think it's because English is considered either the language of business or one of the most important languages for international business. Many people, when they do business with people in other countries, will use English. I think that is changing depending on the countries that are doing business. But I do know that English is considered in some ways the language of the business world, the international business world. And then I think the second reason is because of the popularity of American music and American television and American movies. For some reason, Hollywood and rock and roll and all of those cultural things that come from an English-speaking country, blue jeans, all of that Americana, can I use that word? That's all of that cultural stuff from America has spread around the world. So the language goes with it. And so sometimes people borrow the words. Maybe Brent has a theory as well. As an American, maybe he has a better theory, but I think that's really it. I think that there's probably a few other nuances too. Let's see here. Natalia, hi Bob. My 2 words for you is thrive and foster. Thrive is hard to say, by the way. Thrive, tongue right there, thrive. Could you talk a bit about the meaning of these words and pronounce them? Thank you. When you get a puppy, you feed the puppy really, really good food because you want the puppy to thrive. When an animal thrives or when a person thrives, it means they're healthy. If it's a child, it means they grow. It means that they have energy. It means that they're not sick. So we always want kids to thrive. We want them to grow and be healthy. You can also use thrive to talk about being successful. If you say that, oh, my kid is thriving at school, it means they're making friends, they're getting good grades in their classes, everything is going well. And then foster. When you foster something, you want it to happen. So a boss at work will foster an atmosphere of happiness and kindness. They'll create it. That's probably the best way to say it. Let's see. From the chat again. Let's go back to Rivercam. From the chat, Mode says, hello, Bob, the tour guide. Yesterday you taught check in on someone. Would it mean the same thing if I said check on someone? Yes. Check in with someone. Little different. I'll explain in a sec. Sorry, it's not my fault that Brent still hasn't. Nice. A deep dive on check. So he will, by the way. So here's, there's some slight differences here. So check in on someone means like if my mom is sick, I'll stop by and I'll check in on her a few times. I'll check on her. So you can say check in on or check on. They mean the same thing. When you check in with someone, though, it usually means you're asking them a question or you're seeing if something's still okay. If I said, I asked my boss for a day off next week, I could say on Thursday, I'm going to check in with him to make sure I can still have a day off. So there's a slight difference here. Brent will explain it all in his upcoming lesson on the word check, and its many variations with phrasal verbs and prepositions. I'm sure he will do a great job. If he's not making that lesson, I guess he has to now, right? For those of you who don't know, when I say Brent or speak English with this guy, they are the same person. Brent has a YouTube channel and a Facebook page, and he also makes English lessons on YouTube. You should check him out. And apparently he's going to do a lesson on the word check soon, a deep dive. Yaroslav, can you see my messages here? Yes, I can see it on YouTube. That's where I see the messages. Cecilia, thrive and foster are used in business. Very much so. You want a business to thrive. You want to foster your employees so that they perform well. Bob, what do you call the whatchamacallit with wheels near your barn? It looks made of wood. So let's go to the river cam, which isn't actually looking at the river. So that is a wagon. And what Jen's dad did is he put a top on the wagon so that we can put plants in it. It still lets light through. Oh, there's Walter. I hope he doesn't. Oh no, he's just running past. He's getting really big, by the way, like super big. So it's a wagon and the sides can open, Harry. So we can put plants in later this month, and then we can open the sides during the day and we can close the sides at night if it's going to get cold. That's what that is. Let's see here. Brent says, sorry, Mode, it's been forced to the top of the list now. Yes, that's the power of peer pressure. Brent and I are peers in the English teaching world, and I have just exerted peer pressure on Brent. I have made him feel like he has to make that lesson sooner than maybe he was expecting. It's good peer pressure, though, I think. I think Brent and I get along well enough that we can exert peer pressure over each other. Okay, where am I at? Oh, we should go here. There's an upside down Oscar. Oh, we missed it. He was rolling around. Maybe you saw him briefly. I'm going to turn off members only chat. I'm going to thank my YouTube members. If you're wondering, if you're over there on Facebook and you're wondering what members are, members are people who are members of my YouTube channel. People who have decided to help and support me in the work I do here on YouTube. Okay. Let's see. Yaroslav says there were more, and we must have missed them. Yeah, maybe they got popped out. Sometimes I see Yaroslav telling Harry 300 he's a yuppie. So I see that one a ways back. So maybe there was some reason why it got blocked. Not sure why. Okay, let me get another question on the screen. And here we go. A little sip of water. By the way, if you're one of the 454 people watching on YouTube, please subscribe. You will get notified when I put out a new English lesson. If you're one of the 71 people watching on Facebook, you can follow or like or interact with my Facebook page, and you will get notified when I put stuff there as well. Danielle says, hello, Bob. How do we pronounce the word interpreter? This is a hard word for me. I'm Brazilian. I had to actually think about it as I said it, which means it's probably hard for me as well. An interpreter. Interpreter. The T flaps a bit. The T becomes a bit of a D. Interpreter. Interpreter. But if I say it slow, I say interpreter. And then it sounds funny. Interpreter. I don't think I could be an interpreter. I think I could train myself to listen to French and interpret it to English. But if I had to work, Walter's playing, he's playing with the cat. He's not attacking the cat, just so you know. I don't know if I can think fast enough to do that. Let's see here. Next question from Natsukashi. Have you ever had dinner in a Tim Hortons restaurant? So I fixed a few things there. Have you ever had dinner in a Tim Hortons restaurant? What about the coffee there? I wouldn't say it's dinner, but I have gone to Tim Hortons at dinner time or supper time and had a bagel and a cup of coffee. The coffee's okay. It's not amazing, but the food's reasonably priced. That's the best thing about Tim Hortons. The food is good. The coffee is good. It's not amazing. It's not awful. It's good, but it's reasonably priced. You can spend $3 Canadian at Tim Hortons and get a coffee and a bagel and maybe even a cookie, although you're probably closer to $5 at that point. Let's see here. Yaroslav says, Bob is not going to go skydiving. Oh, probably not. Oh, yes. Brent's like, I can't wait for Bob's English lesson while skydiving from a plane. That will be fun. Yes, that's the reverse peer pressure coming back at me. Let's see here. And then Brent is saying, Hafiz, haha, why? I heard Bob is a big fan of heights. So this is a good time to explain. In English, we have the word ribbing. Brent is ribbing me right now. When you rib someone, it means you know them well enough to say funny things about them, and you know they won't get annoyed by it. So Brent and I know each other well enough that Brent is ribbing me a bit. He knows I'm really afraid of heights. I have no desire to be up in a plane or jump out of one. There's no way. Khalid, hi Bob, what is the difference between while and when? So I will give you 2 example sentences. While I'm doing this lesson, Jen is doing chores. Okay, so that's happening at the same time right now. I'm describing something that's happening in the moment. While I do this lesson, Jen is doing chores. While I teach you English, Jen is bringing feed to the animals in the barn. If I was to talk about it because it happens all the time, I could say when I do a live stream, Jen works outside. So that's a repeated action, okay? So while I usually use to talk about something that's happening now, and when for something that's repeated. Now, there's probably a lot of variations on this, so that's just one example for you. Aki, hi Teacher Bob, good evening. It's 11 p.m. in Japan. That's late. I hope that you're going to bed soon. By the way, what is the difference between emotions and feelings? Do you have different impressions? So emotions are things you feel. Feelings are things you feel. An emotion would be, I'm feeling angry, I'm feeling sad, I'm feeling happy. Those are also feelings. I think you can use them interchangeably. That person is very emotional. That means that they have a lot of different feelings at a lot of different times, maybe all at once. And do you have different impressions? So that can mean 2 things, by the way. Impressions can be like thoughts, but they can also be like, can you pretend you're someone else with your voice? And I'm not going to attempt that at this point in time. Oh, hi, Jenna. So Jenna's here in the chat. If you don't know who Jenna is, Jenna edits my videos. She just said hi to Mode Eggs. I will say hi to her as well. I'll scroll back and see if I see when she first popped in. Yeah, that would be very fun to edit. Oh, maybe I'll have to fake it again, jumping out of a plane like I did last time. I can't imagine the costs either of making a video or an English lesson while I'm jumping out of a plane. Anyways, hi Jenna, it's good to see you. Let's see. Let me go back to the questions here. Let me make sure I answered the last one completely. I think I did. Let me go back. Oh yes, I think I did. Okay, here we go from Larissa. Hello, Bob. What kind of music do you like? Who are your favorite singers? Or what is your favorite band? We kind of ask those questions in slightly different ways. So who's your favorite singer, or what is your favorite band? So I've listened to almost every type of music. As I mentioned years ago, I worked part-time as a teacher, part-time doing tech support. The tech support required that I drive to a lot of different places. So I listened to rock music, punk music, country music, classical music, podcasts, talk radio. When you drive 2 or 3 hours a day and you're someone like me, you eventually work your way through almost every single genre. But my basic genre would be, I love current music of any type, but I also like rock, classic rock, 80s rock, 90s rock, whatever you want to call rock and roll from the past. Let's see here. Nate Nutt says, why does Teacher Bob have 2 channels? One is short videos. That made me feel distracted. It's because the short videos are created for a slightly more advanced learner. The short videos are 4 minutes long. I speak clearly and somewhat slowly at the beginning, but much more casually and faster at the end. It's also a channel for people who, some people just want to learn English, but some people like getting to know me a little bit and seeing the town that I work in, or learning a bit more about me. And it's also a place where I answer a question every day. So I didn't want to put those on the main channel. So years ago, I started a second channel. So that's where I put them. So you're welcome to watch them there and ask a question. And I usually do respond to all the comments over there. Sorry it made you feel distracted, though. It is a little difficult, right? Learn English with Bob the Canadian and Bob's Short English Lesson. Khalid, what are the most popular get uses? So the verb get in English is really weird. If Dave's still here, if you could find the video I made on, I think I used the word get 99 times in 4 minutes, something like that. You'll have to do a search for that, Dave, if you can find it. But it's certainly it's like a utility word. Like I have to get going, I have to get some milk, I have to get up early, I have to get to work. Can you get me a chocolate bar? When you get there, can you give me a call? I got a call from my mom yesterday, past tense. If you're going to learn one verb in English, learn the verb get. It has a lot of utility for sure. Let's see. Bob, let's make it a bit in the next video. I'll animate it. So I'll try and figure out. By the way, I'll talk about this later. I was going to talk about a video idea I had, but I don't want to mention it because it's not quite fully formed. It requires Jenna to do some special effects, but I'll talk to her about it next week. Let's see. Next question here. Where are we? From VGGTG. Do you know that now is Ramadan? Yes, I did. And that all Muslims are fasting and that I have only 1 hour and I will breakfast and eat dates and a cup of water as a starter. Yes, I did know that. So I think someone mentioned that to me when it first started a few days ago. Someone in a comment let me know. So nice to know. And I hope your time is going well. It's an interesting time to self-reflect, limit your eating, and to think more deeply about your spiritual life. That's how I would describe that time. Nina, hi Bob. What's the word similar to excited when you describe someone hearing something unpleasant and gets irritated and fights back? I want to say that he gets, I don't know. So the slang would be to get pissed off. So that's not a great phrase to use though. But when someone hears something unpleasant and gets irritated and wants to fight back, you would say that, I said something and he got annoyed, he got irritated, he got aggravated, or he got pissed off. That would be the slang way. So don't use that one at work or anything like that. Mode in the chat says, I don't think you can learn all the ways of using get in one day. I would agree. It's a little crazy. Yes. And by the way, that video where I used the word get, that was hard to make. It took me a really long time to get that all in my head. Yeah. It was hard to get made. It was hard to get it all in my head. We use that verb all the time, don't we? We certainly do. It's from Louise. Wait, that's the wrong button. Hi, dear teacher. Could you explain when to use, going to add to, other versus another? Thank you. Okay, so I usually give this example when this comes up. I would say, I'm trying to think of a new one. I always talk about my vans. Let's talk about dogs. I have 2 dogs. My one dog, Oscar, is brown. My other dog is black. We like having 2 dogs, but it's very expensive. We don't want to get another dog. So let me shorten those. One dog is brown, the other dog is black. We don't want to buy another dog. 2 is enough. So I didn't really explain the difference, but I gave you some examples of how to use those 2. So Den Berndick says, hello, Bob. What do you think about ChatGPT? How do you look at it in terms of language learning? So I think it's a cool tool. I think it can do some amazing things, but it is one more thing that you have to decide to use and make sure you spend time using it. So nothing in the language learning world is magic. Even though ChatGPT can allow you to have a pretend conversation, it can correct your mistakes. It can generate stories with little vocabulary definitions. It can do some really cool things. You still have to set aside time and do it. So I think it's cool. It has what we would call a cool factor right now. there's a lot of hype around ChatGPT, but you still do need to sit down, take the time, and actually use it, just like every other thing you would use to help yourself learn English. So Lolly says, when Queen Elizabeth passed away last year, were there any special events to honor her memory in Canada? Merci, Bob. Possibly. I don't remember, but I do remember that it was on the news for quite a while. And it was certainly something everyone talked about her life in a very positive way. I think a lot of Canadians had a lot of respect for her and were quite sad when she passed away. And then, even though this is a sad question, I do have to say, Lolly, good job using the phrase passed away. That's exactly how we would talk about someone dying in English. We generally use the phrase passed away. You could say died, she died last year, but passed away is kind of it's a softer way, a nicer way to talk about someone dying. Ooh, Rodolfo, interesting question. Good morning, Teacher Bob. What is your take on ChatGPT and to learn English from it? First of all, I think it's a great way to learn English, and I'll just repeat what I said before. It is one more thing that you have to commit to using. Sometimes learning English is more about being motivated and less about finding cool things to use. The motivation can be the challenging part, being excited to do it. From Huguette, hello, Teacher Bob. When do you put an S to the word fruit? For example, I eat fruits and vegetables. I would add an S there. You can say I eat fruit and vegetables, and apples and oranges are fruits. Thanks in advance. So the second one, apples and oranges are fruits, is correct. Fruit with an S or without an S. Whenever I say fruit with the word vegetable, I say fruits and vegetables. That might just be a Canadian thing. I eat a lot of fruit. I buy my fruit from the fruits and vegetables section of the grocery store. I don't know the exact rule, so sorry about that. It's a little tricky for me. Let's see here. Oh, we got 5 minutes left. There's a lot of questions left, but I wonder if I can get through them. Harry from Indonesia. Hi, Mr. Bob. Should I watch movie with subtitles for listening training or without the subtitle to grasp new vocabulary or idioms? Thanks. So I'm a big fan of let's call it the Bob the Canadian boring method of using subtitles because it involves repetition. I think you should, if you need them, you should watch something with the subtitles on. You should let some time pass, an hour or a day, and then you should rewatch that video with the subtitles off. If you want, you can also add a middle level where you watch it, where you only turn the subtitles on for segments that you didn't understand. But sorry, it's not my method, but it's the method I used when I was improving my French. I would watch a French YouTube video with the subtitles on. Then I would rewatch it the same day or the next day with them off. And I found that very effective. In fact, I usually watched it twice with the subtitles off. It just worked well. I liked that method. So I'm not for or against subtitles, but certainly don't watch everything with the subtitles on all the time because you're actually learning more to read than listen, I think. You can get trapped into only doing reading practice, really. Abort, hi, Teacher Bob. Have a good day. What's weather in your city? Is the COVID-19 passed away or passed or over? So the weather in my city is cold, 4 degrees out there now. It's a little colder than this morning and windy, but it's still a nice day, a nice April day. And then your question about COVID. So my mom moved to an apartment building, and the apartment building floor above her had a COVID outbreak. So there's still COVID around, but I think it's less severe because many, many people are vaccinated or they had COVID and they have some immunity. There's a number of reasons, but we have not had a student sick with COVID at our school for months. I think December was the last time that someone had COVID at our school. Also, people aren't testing as much, so you don't always know. Hafiz, hey, Coach Bob, I wonder why almost all Canadians can carry on conversation in French. I'm not sure if that's true, but I know that is an existing stereotype. So it's definitely not true. So people from Quebec speak French as their primary language, their first language, or most people from Quebec. There are English speakers in Quebec as well. There are some French speakers in other provinces. Ontario has some French-speaking people, New Brunswick, other provinces. But I would say the vast majority of Canadians learned French in school, but would have trouble doing more than asking directions or pointing at things and saying what it is. I would say every Canadian knows the word chien. Every Canadian knows bonjour. But once you get into actual conversation, what they learned in school might not be in their minds anymore. Orman, hi Bob, what advice will you give me to be successful? So this is what I always advise people. Get a lot of external motivation in your life that you can't ignore. What I mean by that is, I wouldn't say I'm successful, but one thing that makes me work hard is the fact that I have to pay my mortgage. Like, we bought this house with a loan from the bank. I have to pay them money every month. I have to pay my taxes. I have to buy groceries. I have to heat my house. I buy propane. So I have a lot of external motivations to work hard. I wouldn't say success, but to work hard. So if you can create external motivations or obligations in your life, it really helps you work quite a bit harder for sure. Let's see here. I'm going to keep going because I have 5 questions left. I'll do them rapid fire and then we'll wrap this up. Bowden says, hello, Mr. Bob. Could you please explain the meaning of lickety-split and where we can use it? Thanks. When you do something fast, you do it lickety-split. I don't think it's that common a phrase anymore. I think it's like the word den to describe a room in your house. You might hear older people say it, but yeah, he did that lickety-split. He did that really, really fast. So this is Nathan. Hi, my teacher. How's it going? Can you create for us a WhatsApp group? Because I want some people that can chat English and call each other on video calls. Thanks. So I've avoided doing this because I always believe if I create something, I need to manage it and I need to make sure it's a good place. So when we do a live stream, Dave comes and moderates the chat. If I was to create a WhatsApp group, I would need to find time to make sure it's successful and safe and people are civil to each other. And I don't have the time to do that. People are welcome to do that themselves, but I, myself, Nathan, don't have time. So I will not be doing that anytime soon. Sorry. Nan says, hi, Bob. What is autopilot mode? So sometimes Jen and I leave to go visit her parents, and I almost drive to the school instead because I'm on autopilot. When you're on autopilot, it means you do something without thinking. Let's say every morning I eat 2 pieces of toast and an egg, but on Saturdays, I make muffins. If on a Saturday morning, without thinking, I made toast and eggs, I would say, I'm on autopilot. I forgot that it's Saturday. So it's when you do something that's your routine on a day when you normally wouldn't do it. From hi Bob, I am Chinese. My question is, how many people do you know in your area and what is your opportunity with them? Thanks. Surprisingly, when you live in the country, you know your neighbors quite well. When I walk this way, I know everyone who lives in the next 4 houses. Even though it's a 2-kilometer walk and there's a lot of space, I know all of my neighbors. When I walk that way, I know all of the neighbors for almost a 3 or 4 kilometer stretch. So that would be it. And neighbors in the country, generally we leave each other alone until there's an emergency and then we help each other out. That's what I would say. Hey, you know what? That's all the questions. I answered them all. Hey, thanks for hanging out. I'm going to say bye to a few people here. If you want to start saying bye in the chat, you can do that. I do want to apologize to the people watching on Facebook because I wasn't really paying attention there. Maybe we'll look for a way to integrate that a little bit better in the future. Yeah, thank you so much for watching. Let me see here. Bye to Ricardo, Yogi, Dia, Cecilia. Bye to Ario and Brent from Speaking English with This Guy. Thanks to Jenna for stopping in. Nice to see you. Bye to Mode Eggs. Mode says, thanks, Bob. Have a good day. You too. Bye to Yaroslav. Cecilia again. K. Rule. Lolly Lolly. Know That says, thanks, Mr. Bob. Have a nice weekend. And as always, greetings to Jen and your kids too. I will say hi to them. Dave says, see you next week. Yep, for sure. Bye to John from Brazil. John Wedge is here somewhere too, I think, right? Bear Vilson, bye to you as well. Bye to Unsel, Natalia Illusion. Hi, Natalia. Nice to see you. Bye to Freddie Wolf, John Wedge, Hafiez, Harry 300, Pony Taylor, Thayib, Sophia, Taras, James, Gaurav. Hi, Gaurav. Arena. Hi to Arena as well. Talk Italian with Arone. Hi, Arone. James, Rana, Maxime. I'm going to stop now. I'll leave you with a nice view. I will turn my camera off so you can just enjoy the pleasant view out there. And see you Tuesday with a new video. Next Friday with a new lesson. It's April. It's going to get nicer outside. Bye.